Hey everybody, it's Phil with the Minuteman Moment. But before we get into the video, by now you've heard that the Biden administration droned 7 children. They thought they were ISIS fighters. But Joe wants to talk to us about owning guns. Anyway, one of the things you'll learn when talking about the ATF's notice of proposed rulemaking to ban pistol braces is that it is an incredibly complicated policy. Even if you know the issue, there's a lot of moving parts to this big shift in the ATF's policy. So you may not feel comfortable talking about it with the gun grabbers. And there's 2 approaches to take when talking about the ATF's proposed rule on braces. First, you tell them that no matter what they say, it's wrong and a power grab by Washington, and we aren't going to take this sitting down.
This will not stand, you know? This aggression will not stand, man.
Second, you know the law and policy. Watch this video, and I'm going to blaze through the facts you need to know to take on anybody that wants to take away our pistol braces. Keep this video handy and use it in the future. It doesn't matter that the notice and comment period for the ATF's pistol brace rule is closed. Whether the ATF goes ahead and implements its rule or decides not to, the question of pistol braces isn't going anywhere. If the ATF does decide to implement the rule, you can bet that GOA is going to file a lawsuit. If the ATF decides not to implement the rule, the political circumstances surrounding braces aren't going to go anywhere. So you can bet that we're going to have to defend them in the future. That's why I want to give you a crash course on everything GOA has on braces. If you want to learn more about any of these points, I'm going to link our comments to the ATF in the description box below, where you can read GOA's full explanation. All right, let's go. Can someone start a counter for me? The proposed rule fails to acknowledge, much less justify, the ATF's changed course on stabilizing braces. The ATF tried to ban braces last year, but ultimately pulled it. But the approaches in their 2020 notice and 2021 proposed rule conflict. Both the notice and the proposed rule conflict with prior ATF guidance. The proposed rule would overrule all previous classification letters. And obviously, I hate these private letters. But businesses and buyers rely on those letters to make important business and legal distinctions. The proposed rule constitutes a blanket ban on the use of stabilizing braces. And in fact, the rule assumes that all firearms equipped with stabilizing braces would be subject to one of the 5 corrective actions. The proposed rule fails to meet the basic procedural requirements of administrative rulemaking. The proposed rule glosses over ATF's arbitrary creation of millions of new felons. Of course it does. What's at issue here is a power grab by the ATF, DOJ, and the White House. This has nothing to do with a $200 tax stamp. The proposed rule has a test that almost no stabilizing brace and nearly no firearm will pass. To accomplish their goal, the ATF created the worksheet 4999. Something about that seems familiar.
Execute Order 66.
The proposed Form 4999 Section 1 prerequisites aren't to be found in any statute, so these new requirements are just being made up by the ATF. Proposed Form 4999 Section 2 has something called accessory characteristics. It's just faulty logic. I mean, for one, common characteristics don't transform braces into stocks. The ATF's test says the more features a purported stabilizing brace has in common with known shoulder stock designs, the more points it will accumulate. This is what's known as a false analogy. Also, the proposed rule's accessory characteristics are vague and ambiguous. The ATF's proposed Form 4999 Section 3, configuration of a weapon, is also entirely arbitrary. The rule contains false information and arbitrary penalties for how you configure your weapon. And don't forget, even if you pass their test, they leave themselves the ability to just say no anyway. The ATF's proposed framework violates the plain text of the statute. United States Code defines a rifle as both designed and intended to be fired from the shoulder. But the proposed rule, on the other hand, treats these factors as if design and intent alone can be determinative without evidence of both. The ATF is also admitting that you can't rely on its classifications because they can change whenever the ATF feels froggy. This proposed rule tells everyone that the ATF's regulatory impact analysis is nothing but a smokescreen for more power and fewer gun rights. That's right. The proposed rule disingenuously claims that the ATF wants to assist affected persons or companies. The ATF insincerely alleges that its classifications allow industry members to plan, develop, and distribute products in compliance with the law. Yet the proposed rule is designed to pull the rug out from the entire stabilizing brace industry and the gun community, reversing and voiding prior classifications. And the ATF's numbers on how many braces have been purchased conflict with the number that we actually know are out there. So where does the ATF get its number? Well, the ATF alleges brace manufacturers have lied about sales. How incredibly convenient. The Congressional Research Service estimates up to 40 million braces could be affected. The proposed rule's estimates of effects on gun owners, the firearms industry, and the economy is flawed. The rule is going to seize, waste, and destroy an incredible percentage of total annual U.S. firearms commerce. In contrast with its devastating effects, the rule offers no realistic benefits. Like it'd be nice if the ATF removed some of its stupid gun regulations. Reversing over a decade of ATF classifications, the proposed rule mistakenly assumes that stabilizing braces can only be used on pistols. ATF has approved braces for use on non-pistols and non-AOWs, despite claims to the contrary. The ATF ignores the reality that stabilizing braces can be used to support two-handed, non-shoulder fire. And now for the final knockout. There are legal distinctions between the words firearm, handgun, and rifle. But the ATF's proposed rule doesn't even mention how a firearm could be equipped with a brace without becoming a rifle. So the failure to account for firearms equipped with stabilizing braces undermines the entire proposed rule. All right, that's it for this week's Minuteman Moment. Be sure to check out all of our videos on YouTube and go over to the Warrior Poet Society Network as well.